Awaited escapely, today we return with the 12th and final labor of Hercules. After 11 long years, after all these labors, after finding out that two of his honest attempts did not count because of technicalities, Hercules is staring down the last task that he will have to face from Eurystheus. Hercules has just returned with the apples of the Hesperides, surprising everybody. Eurystheus specifically gave him this task thinking it was impossible, fearing how popular Hercules had become with the people of his own city as his fame grew. And so, when Hercules returns, Eurystheus literally tells him to go to hell and bring him back the hellhound Cerberus. If you're using your Greek pronunciation, it's usually more like a Kerberos. That's actually how it was pronounced in Latin too, but nowadays we tend to say Cerberus. This is the actual three-headed hellhound that guards the realm of Pluto. I always get the impression that Eurystheus kind of panicked, didn't expect to see Hercules again, and he demands that he wants to get Cerberus brought to him alive. Hercules at this point is very difficult to face. This is a man who just held up the sky for a couple of days and didn't falter. And he knows that there's a path for him to succeed. He trusts in this. So he's very clear about it. So Eurystheus wants Cerberus, the hellhound. That Cerberus brought back alive. Yes. And Hercules sets out. Now, Hercules is applying a lot of what he's been learning so far about this. Remember that the labors are about keeping him out of Tartarus, out of the bad part of the underworld. And so, what he does is he finds an oracle. You see, everybody knows the normal way to go to the underworld is to die, but a couple of heroes go and return. And you usually need an oracle's help. They'll show you to some dead place, a swamp, a desert, an island in the middle of the ocean, too small for anything to grow on. And usually in these places, there's a cave that leads deep, deep, deep underground. And you make your way down and you find a river, the Styx. The boatman Charon helps you cross the Styx, usually for a fee. So Hercules brings enough coins for himself and, for the return trip and for, Cerberus on the return trip. And he goes down there and he sees Cerberus guarding the underworld. And the thing is, normally Cerberus's job is to keep people from going out. Some heroes play with this differently. Some people are more worried about it on the way in. But Hercules gives us a wide berth, and he goes to the person in charge of the underworld. The god in charge of the underworld is Pluto, Hades, if you prefer your Greek. He's extremely feared by mortals because he takes your soul when you die. Your soul goes to the underworld, and then he becomes your king. But the thing is, in Greek and Roman mythology, despite this really nasty association, despite the fact that he's, kind of feared and people revulse from him, people pull back from him, he's got a weird reputation. He's extremely reliable. He never actually breaks his word with anybody. He's extremely faithful, organized, and on top of things. Frankly, it seems in a lot of the myths that he's almost kind of boring, which is a very odd descriptor for someone, because nowadays we like to think of him as more of a villain. He does have his villainous moments. I'm really not going to, downplay that. But the thing is, in most of the stories, he's kind of an outside figure. He doesn't really fit into the context of other things. He doesn't really care about mortal conflicts very much because, well, we all go to him in the end. Hercules asks nicely, relays the whole idea of what's going on with the labors because he's not presuming that Pluto knows it, and to be extremely respectful, he's clear that this is something that's ordered from him by the gods, that he has to follow these instructions and do what is going on. And Pluto gives Hercules permission to take Cerberus, very surprisingly. Not very surprisingly, he says, but if you hurt one hair on my dog's head, then I'm coming for your soul early. Hercules lays down his weapons and approaches this huge, slavering, three-headed dog and playfully wrestles with it. This is clearly not something Cerberus was expecting. It surprises him, but I mean, dogs like a little bit of roughhousing, especially big dogs for whatever reason that is. And Hercules wrestles with this dog until it's following him around and enjoying it, and takes it back in the boat with Charon and takes it all the way up to the upper world and walks this huge slavering hellhound all the way back to Eurystheus' palace. When he does, Eurystheus is terrified. This is a common theme when Hercules comes back with the results of the labor, that Eurystheus is scared and ends up hiding in that big jug, that big pot that first guy had brought to him way back when, all those years ago. And Hercules shows up with this, again, surprising Eurystheus. And, well, he kind of plays up the theatricality, but he says, all right, you asked for him, here he is, and, is holding this dog by the leash as it, snaps at Eurystheus, who is not reacting well to this at all. And Eurystheus says, just get rid of it, just take it away. And Hercules goes, so my labors are over. Yes, as soon as you get rid of that thing, your labors are over. Nothing else. Absolutely not. Everything counts. Yes, it counts. Just get this thing away from me. And Hercules says, fine, sure. And the thing is, that's the entire extent of Hercules' revenge. Maybe you were expecting him to become king of the city. Maybe you were expecting him to kill Eurystheus for the terrible things that he put him through. But remember what this was really about. Hercules sends Cerberus home, gets him back to the entrance to the Underworld, and, sends a couple of coins with him and goes adventuring. Hercules has changed as a person. He's conquered his anger. He's not the kind of person he was all this time ago, the kind of person who would kill his own family in a fit of rage. And that's what this is really going on in at least this version of the story. Some embellish this a little bit less. Some have him, slipping into anger in later events. But yeah, I think the real idea behind this is that Hercules is really just not the person he was before. And him taking revenge on Eurystheus would have basically undone the point of the labors, if not like the letter of the law. Thank you guys so much for watching.